Hear your stomach calling.
It's shouting!
Burrito! Burrito! Burrito!
Let's gather our ingredients and build this the Aussie way every day. Make it wild, make it savory, make it loud, just like Aussie would. No utensils needed, scarf it down and build another one. Have 900, just like Aussie. Aussie's on top of the burrito.
Hear your stomach calling.
Aussie's on top of the burrito.
Hear your stomach calling.
Take you back. Let's rewind that old horror film. What's that in the background? Something is out of place. Someone shouldn't be there. That line is odd. That reflection is misplaced. Let's have fun finding all the mistakes in our favorite horror films. Let me take you back. Let's rewind that old horror film.
Howdy, gang, and welcome to yet another horror movie rewind. I know I've talked about Blood Harvest quite recently on an episode of Celluloid Trash, but I knew that I hadn't really talked about Goofs and trivia and all that. And Blood Harvest, to me, even though it's not a really good film, it's a fun, entertaining film in my eyes. And it has Tiny Tim in it in a very bizarre role. But I think Tiny Tim himself was a rather, eccentric person anyway. But we are going to be talking about all the goofs and the trivia and even a little bit about alternate versions of Blood Harvest from 1987, directed by Bill Rebane, who filmed, I think pretty much he was like one of these regional horror directors that filmed in Wisconsin. So we're going to get to that here in just a second, but I do want to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way. I want to remind you guys and gals that there will be They're All Messed Up coming up tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'll be talking about the films Death Carries a Cane and Death Smiles on a Murderer. I don't think I've seen either one. Maybe I have. But I'm going to check them out. And I have a little sticker that Steve got me that I was messing around in that area on my desk and it just fell off. But I'll also be talking about the kills in both of these films because that's a big part of what They're All Messed Up is about. I've got quite a bit of other programming coming up. I'm not sure about Friday, what's going to be going on, but there will be something pop up for Friday for you guys to take a gander at. But next week, I've already got next week's stuff up. Next Monday will be a Celluloid Trash talking about The Last Shark and The Last Slumber Party. Tuesday will be a VHS overload talking about fave horror VHS covers from 1986. Next Wednesday will be another horror movie rewind. We're getting into the fall. We're getting into the Halloween season here shortly. So I'm going to be talking about Halloween 2. The original Halloween 2, by the way. Next Thursday will be another They're All Messed Up. And I'll be talking about horror high and massage parlor murders. I also want to remind everybody to hop on over to deaditesondeck.com, my horror shop. Tell them Poe sent you. I've got a lot of new designs up. You want to get on over there and check that out. The Nighty Nightmares sleep shirts are up on there. A lot of new t-shirt designs. And let me tell you something, folks. If you're not a t-shirt person, if you're not a sleep shirt person, you can basically transfer these designs over to mouse pads or tote bags or hats to some extent. So just keep that in mind. I've also got some blended teas. I've got some scented candles. Just lots of stuff. The site is overflowing with all kinds of stuff for you to spend your money on, which segues me into ways that you can support me in the channel that don't cost you a dime. Okay, because I appreciate anybody that purchases stuff from my shop. I appreciate super chats and super stickers and all of that stuff. It is all appreciated. But on the other side of that coin, I know that everybody is not made out of money, right? So here are some free ways that you can help me out and help the channel out and help it grow. And one of those ways is by subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out, please, please, please subscribe. I promise I will not come to your home and try to minister to you or sell you cookies or candy bars. I won't bother you in any way because mainly, folks, I'll be totally honest. I look at the numbers and I'm not digging into who really is subscribing. Okay, so you could make it as completely anonymous as you want. In fact, apparently there is a way to prevent people from seeing that you're subscribed to a certain channel. So if you'd rather people not know that you subscribe to certain channels, you can make it anonymous. Okay, so also, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content I've got coming up. Hit that like button on stuff. Heck, hit the like button on all the stuff if you're enjoying all the stuff. And also, share with friends and family members you think might enjoy my channel and the stuff that I have on the channel. Share deaditesondeck.com, my horror shop, the URL for that. If you think, somebody might want to order something, or you maybe might want to order something for somebody as a gift. I got a ton of stuff on there, folks. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get to, and I've got some pictures to illustrate some of these goofs. Now, a lot of the goofs, you would actually have to watch the movie, and you can watch it for free on Tubi, folks. So, and no excuses for not being able to watch it and see for yourself about these goofs and different things I'm going to be talking about tonight. So there's some continuity errors or continuity goofs in Blood Harvest. So I do have pictures for this. When Jill offers Merv or Mervo coffee, he is standing closer to her than he was before, and it's clearly a separate shot. And I'm going to illustrate what I'm talking about here. So this is the first shot, right? You can see that there's quite a bit of distance between Merv and Jill, okay? If we look at the next shot, he's right almost up in her face here. And those were two shots that were just seconds apart, right? So how did he get from way back there to way up here in basically the same shot? All right. Now, this is one that you would actually have to watch the movie for. But when Scott, the character of Scott, is hit by a bat, it is clearly not a continuous shot like it's supposed to be. And the cut in that scene is blatantly obvious. Okay, Jill is being chased during the night. But when she is saved soon after that, at the end of the movie, it's already day. And this is because the movie was filmed during one day and one night. So Bill Rebane wasn't wasting any time when he made this movie. Okay, so we've also got some factual errors or some factual goofs. So when Jill is taking her shower, we see a hand turn a valve off, presumably to be the cold water, which causes the shower to get steamy. The hand is actually opening the valve, not closing it. Okay, so while she's in the shower, there's somebody in the basement messing around with the valve. Okay, and supposedly turning the cold water off and making it really hot in the shower. This is a kind of funny one that I didn't even think about at the time. But when Jill and her friend Sarah are talking about Jill's boyfriend Scott on the bed, they imply that penis is a muscle. Penis isn't a muscle, and I would have to agree with that person's statement. Although, truth be told, that was something that I never even thought about in the many, many times I've seen Blood Harvest. Okay, so there are also some revealing mistakes in Blood Harvest. So, and I do have a picture for this one. So, a blood pack can be glimpsed on Sarah's back when her throat is cut open while hanging upside down in the barn. And I have taken the liberty of making a red circle around that actual blood pack that you can see right there on her back. May have to pause it in the movie to actually be able to see it for yourself. Blood is obviously being sprayed from some kind of container off screen into the hay when Sarah's supposedly bleeding, and I have witnessed that. Sarah dies too soon. Even with a slit throat, she wouldn't die that quickly as if she was turned off like a machine. Again, I totally agree with that. When victims are seen hanging dead at the end of the movie, they're clearly alive and moving, and they are. When Jill is running away from the killer, and I hadn't noticed this before, but I definitely noticed it perusing through the movie this time. When Jill is running away from the killer, screams were clearly added in editing over her mouth being open to make it seem like she is screaming, but she actually isn't. She's just, with her mouth open, and then the screams must have been recorded later. Sarah is obviously breathing while hanging dead. And that is obvious as well. Now, here's a spoiler, folks. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to know who the killer is, you might want to plug your ears or step away for a second while I talk about this one point. And give it a few seconds. Okay, I'm going to reveal it now. So Gary, at one moment, clearly watches to the side for directions from the director when chasing Jill. And I've got a couple of images that illustrate this. And this was something I really didn't notice before tonight as I was going through the movie again. So he's got his costume on, and he has come into the house unbeknownst to Jill until it's almost too late. But when she takes off running in this scene and runs out of the house, he doesn't immediately run after her. He stays where he's at, and he turns facing like he's looking for some direction from someone. Okay. So when he comes out of the house in the next scene, again, instead of running after Jill immediately, he stands in the doorway or on the steps and he's looking out here. And this, you know, in the direction he's looking out into the darkness. But that is not where Jill had been running. So he's clearly, again, looking for direction from someone off screen. Okay. What else have we got here? You know, there weren't as many goofs and stuff listed for this movie because this is not as well known a movie as some of these I've talked about on Horror Movie Rewind. But see, I want to mix it up a little bit. I want to have more oddball choices mixed in with more choices that you know. But that's also going to mean that sometimes there's going to be lesser goofs, lesser trivia to talk about. Okay. So here's a miscellaneous goof. So when the killer rips apart Sarah's pants, he does so too easily. I agree with that. Even though he is using a knife. I mean, these are jeans that she's got on. So the assumption is that the jeans were probably damaged, pre-torn off screen to be ripped that easily. And that's been done in a lot of movies. Okay, so there's also a plot hole. There was no reason whatsoever for Sarah not to run into the house when she spotted the killer. And I agree with that. It was closer to her and safer since she could lock the door. But she doesn't. She runs towards the barn. And, you know, I kind of thought about that for half a second. Like, why is she doing that? But, you know, more of that horror movie logic in that case. All right. So that's all the goofs I have. But I do have some trivia for you guys and gals. So Tiny Tim wore his own clown suit. So, folks, the clown suit he has on throughout the majority of the film was Tiny Tim's actual clown suit. Okay. Tiny Tim was making a personal appearance at a beer carnival. I've never heard of a beer carnival in Lincoln County, Wisconsin in 1985. And local filmmaker Bill Rebane was in the audience. And he had an idea for a horror film and he decided to approach Tiny Tim and see if he'd be interested in appearing in it. And he was. And Blood Harvest was the result of that. As far as I know, that's the only horror film Tiny Tim was ever in. If somebody knows differently, please, let me know. This is something else that I had no idea. But I've never played the video game High on Life. I don't know how many of you guys and gals out there have seen or have played High on Life, the video game. It was released December 13th, 2022, which wasn't that many years ago, about 3 years ago. But you can watch the full movie Blood Harvest on the player's home TV in the video game High on Life, like I said, released December 13th, 2022. An actual auctioneer and real farmers are featured in the auction scene. And that probably wasn't a big stretch for Bill Rebane to get these people for a regional horror film that he was doing. I thought this was very funny. I don't know that much about Peter Krause, but Peter Krause refused to take off his jeans for his love scene with Jill. And I did notice that you never saw him take his pants off. And you never saw bare legs or a bare ass or anything. The script was written in 3 weeks. That's very short. This is also Atonia Salchek, who played Jill. This is her only film. This is the film debut of Peter Krause. In the director's cut, Atonia Salchek was credited as Carrie Salachek. And Atonia Selchek was the lead actress, but she has not been heard from since production of this film. And again, if somebody knows differently, please share. There's supposedly there's a online petition to find her whereabouts. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about is the alternate versions of Blood Harvest that are out there. So the 2003 US DVD on the Retro Media label, which I believe is Fred Olin Ray's label, is heavily edited. And I did not, realize that because I got the Retro Media one, but I guess I didn't know any better. So now, I have the full uncut version on Blu ray, but it's heavily edited and it's missing footage of nudity and violence, including a brief full frontal shot of Jill in the shower, which I could care less about, and a throat slashing. The 1989 UK video was pre-cut by over 2 minutes, and then it was cut by a further 2 minutes and 51 seconds by the BBFC. So this film has unfortunately been on the chopping block as far as having some cuts made to it. So I'm going to do you guys and gals a solid here. And I am going to give the Tubi link for those of you that can watch Tubi. I know in some places it's not allowed or people can't watch things on Tubi, but I put the link to it there. There probably are other places you can watch it. You can watch it for free on Sling TV. You can watch it for free on the Roku channel. You can watch it for free on Philo, Plex. You can watch it if you have a YouTube Primetime subscription. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. It requires a subscription. Or you can watch it on YouTube TV with a subscription. Okay. So I guess that is all for me for this edition of Horror Movie Rewind, talking about goofs and trivia and alternate versions galore for Blood Harvest from 1987, directed by Bill Rebane. And I want to thank each and every one of you that was in here. I saw different people popping in at different points, not people specifically, but I saw the numbers, right? Wasn't really anybody chatting tonight, but that's okay. That's not a requirement. Usually though, if somebody's in the chat, I will stay on here longer if people are asking questions and whatnot. But anyway, I want to thank everybody that tuned in to see what good old Dana was talking about tonight. I want to thank those of you also that will watch this on the replay, because you are all instrumental in, making my channel a success, no matter how you watch or when you watch. So I want to thank each and every one of you for all of that, all of your support of me and the channel. And just remember, I'm getting ever closer to that 1,000 subscribers, which is my next milestone. And once I get there, me and Candace are going to do some really cool cosplay, probably during an episode of Friday Foolish. I will be Cheryl from The Evil Dead, and Candace will be Mrs. Roper from Three's Company. So if you want to see us do that, please, help me get. I'm really, really close. Help me get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, folks. But I guess that's it for me for tonight. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night for They're All Messed Up, for Death Carries a Cane, and Death Smiles on a Murder. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Blast some Aussie and try your best to live the Aussie way. And by that, I mean, don't stay stuck in the past. Move forward in the present into the future, and don't ever give up on your dreams, folks. I love each and every one of you out there, and I'll see everybody next time.